contributions alone. So he's going to make the team. So it basically comes down to three guys: Anthony, Adam Bighill, the former Canadian League defensive MVP, and I'm leaving somebody out. But bottom line is Michael Marty. Thanks, Bob. I knew I was leaving a guy out. So you're basically looking at, and it's in my article this morning. I can't remember what I wrote at 3:00 this morning, but so basically you're going to have there's going to be two spots available. Once I'm going to pull this up real quick. So
let me ask you this: keep your thought there. Keep your thought,
because I actually wrote this at 3:00 this morning.
Keep your thought there, Barry. Why did the Saints sign Brian Brayman then? Do you think it is to compete or eventually discount the fact that Stephon Anthony is there, or are they just trying to bring in some more help with special teams?
No, that's just help with special teams. I can't see that he's going to make any kind of a significant contribution at the linebacker position. He's an adequate player. I mean, he's average, a little slightly above average player, but he's not. I don't think he could take Anthony's spot as a linebacker. I don't see that, which ain't saying much probably, but he's outstanding special teams contributor, and I think that's what they brought him in for. Look, the Saints have been very proactive about getting some really good special teams players here. That's another area that they were very deficient in last year, that they have taken great lengths to upgrade this year is special teams. It would not shock me if that guy makes the roster just based on his spending. And the same thing with Stupar. I mean, Stupar is actually a pretty decent linebacker. He's not great, but he's not bad. He's adequate. He could spot start him, in a pinch if you have to. If a guy is a late scratch, you can stick Stupar in there and feel decent about it. He won't give up too many big plays or whatever. But that said, Anthony, to me, it would just be, to me, it would be a huge, huge disappointment that you would cut a number one draft pick. It wouldn't be unprecedented, I guess, because it's happened in the NFL. But I couldn't tell you the last time it happened to the Saints. We're talking since the dark days of the '70s when Meekum owned the team. The last time the Saints would have cut probably to Rick Middleton. I think Rick Middleton, the linebacker from Ohio State, I want to say the number one pick, the '74 draft maybe, who got cut like 2 years later. Hank Stram came in and cut him because he was garbage, basically. So I don't know if I want to label Anthony as garbage, but it's a shame because when he came out of Clemson, you're talking about a guy, and I mentioned it in the article ad nauseum because I've written the same topic, over and over again. This is a kid who was the high school player of the year in high school football in 2010. He was the he was the number one rated linebacker coming out of high school at Anson High School in North Carolina, on the North Carolina-South Carolina state line. Just a phenomenal player in high school. He's a high school legend, basically, and had a solid career at Clemson, like a 3-time All-ACC linebacker. So, obviously the Saints used the pick that they got for Jimmy Graham and the Jimmy Graham trade with Seattle to take Anthony. So, there's just so much promise with this guy, and he just hasn't lived up to the potential. But
okay. Well, here's my thought, man. A guy who started his career off, he had, 112?
115, I think.
Yeah, 115 tackles. Had an interception, a sack. First year looks like we're really priming a guy that's going to be the future for the New Orleans Saints. Then next season, you bring in James Laurinaitis to take Stephon Anthony's role because someone leaks out information to say the young man is not very intelligent, which I really think that was a classless act for anyone to leak that out and say that about somebody. You know, and Rim, between you and I, man, if you're going to call a guy you drafted number one not too smart, what about your drafting ability?
Yeah.
That's right.
You understand, man? It just doesn't make sense. This is just a curious case of what to do with talent or a lack of understanding what to do with talent. You're going to say this guy can't think on the field. Maybe you're putting too much on him to not really be a good NFL player, you know? And in my opinion also, under Vitt, he was not going to excel.
Yeah,
you know,
he can't be understated enough how bad of a coach. And I'm sorry, you know, but I'm not on a national or a Louisiana-based radio program. We're on our own Saints News Network podcast, and I can be a little more frank in this thing than I would be probably on another show. Let's just call it what it is. Joe Vitt was a lousy position coach. Look, he's a great guy. You know, led the Saints franchise through one of its darkest periods in the 2012 Bounty Gate season, stepped up and coached the team while Sean Payton was out. You know, he's a good guy. You know, I'm never going to badmouth him in that respect. But as far as coaching ability, oh, good Lord. I mean, look how great these guys, look how different it is, night and day, between Joe Vitt and Mike Nolan. That in what, 4 or 5 months' time since Nolan's been on the job, that these linebackers, I know it's just 2 preseason games in, but these linebackers, I mean, it looks like a totally different linebacker core. I mean, we're drawing comparisons to the Dome Patrol because we've been so it's been such a bereft position for so many years under Joe Vitt that we forgot what a good linebacker play looked like. So now that we got a legitimate position coach who's 30 years experience, and not just the experience, because Joe Vitt's coached in the league just as long as Nolan has. The difference is Mike Nolan knows what he's doing.
Yeah, but Mike Nolan comes from good pedigree as well. Bob, absolutely. Let's kind of switch gears, guys, because you guys alluded to something that's really a concern of mine, and it's the special teams play. Bob, I'm going to throw this at you. I usually throw this at Coach because that's his specialty, special teams. The Saints still don't seem like they're getting much in the punt game, as far as not Morstead punting, but receiving the punts. And what do you think is going on there? Do you think that's one of the reasons why they brought in Brayman to kind of solidify some areas there?
I think it probably is. And I've been asking the same exact question out loud numerous times, even through only 2 preseason games. You have Kamara, and I think he's only returned a couple of punts, and they probably don't want to put him that much at risk in the preseason. So I'll circle back to that. But Coach had said something last week about Ted Ginn, and I've made it no secret about how I feel about the Ginn signing. His exact words were, if Ginn can't give you much in the punt return game, then what good is he on this team?
Wow.
And I had just tuned in last week when I heard him say that, and I couldn't echo better words exactly. Tommy Lee Lewis, and he had a couple nice punt returns last year. Lewis did, and certainly has nice potential. But this team has not gotten anything in the punt return game with any kind of consistency since Darren Sproles was wearing the fleur-de-lis on the side of his head. So they have to find a punt returner. You hit the nail on the head when you said that the punt game under Morstead is going to be solid. We just talked about how their coverage units, both kickoff and punt, look remarkably better than what they had. But they got to generate some kind of field position switch with punt returners. And they have the guys to do it. They have Kamara, they have Ginn, they have Lewis. One of these guys got to step forward. And so far, we're not seeing it out of any of the three.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see Ginn against the Texans, man, in the Dome. Because last week, the Saints only had 17 yards on punt returns on 3 punt returns. That's not going to kick it.
No.
And Morstead did a great job.
I hope we do see Ginn a lot because we need. I don't personally think that he's going to give us a whole lot in the receiving game. So he's got to give us something in punt return. So I'm hoping that that's where we see him most active on Saturday night is in punt return game.
Yeah, and I've got to give some kudos to Morstead as well as Lutz. Lutz looked pretty solid. Looks like Barry, that kid is gaining confidence more and more every time he's kicking this preseason, as well as what he was doing towards the end of last season as well. But Morstead, man, he had an average of 51.7 yards on his kicks. Wow. And, the average was 46.7, but 51.7 on 9 punts, Doc. That is awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or arguably he's the best punter in the NFL right now. If he's not the best, he's in the top 3 easily. So the Saints have been very blessed. I mean, this guy. I don't recall what round. I want to say 6th round maybe. The 2009 draft, the year they went to the Super Bowl out of SMU. And, kind of an under the radar pick, to be totally honest. Nobody really gave it much of a second thought at that time because that was, the Super Bowl year and he was a rookie punter basically. But, man, that turned out to be a phenomenal pick. Probably the best. I'd have to call him the best punter in Saints history. I can't even think of anybody that would even come close. Maybe Tommy Barnhart.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Russell Erskine, but
well, and speaking of Erskine, which brings us back to Lutz, I don't know, obviously that's Kevin O'Day, the special teams assistant that brought in from Tampa Bay, who's done a lot of work with him personally. Coach alluded to it last week. Using blue PVC pipe. To make him focus on his concentration and getting the height on his kicks, and it's obviously the one-on-one training that he's done with Kevin O'Day has completely turned around his career and changed that. I'd like to take credit for it, part of it, just because I can to Russell Erskine. I'm sure Will Lutz didn't even know who Russell Erskine was until I mentioned it. So,
yeah.
But look, to his credit, and I'm glad. I'm more than happy to eat crow on that one, because it wouldn't be the first time ever that I criticized a player or a coach or somebody that proved me wrong. I'd gladly eat crow on that one because, man, look, he's been solid. He's been in my article the other day. For the 5 winners, 5 losers of the game, I said he was money. He needs to change his nickname to Money because that's what he is. He's money.
Yeah.
Today he was 8 of 8. Along with 53, I think, in the practice today. So I mean, he's just been spot on. And what more can you ask for? Now, I almost hate to jinx the Saints by saying it's Preseason. And let's see if it happened in the regular season because, as it's been well documented, all his struggles were in regular season games last year. So we'll see, but I have no reason to believe that he's improved tenfold over what he showed last year, and it's going to be the kicker, the future kicker for this franchise for years to come.
Yeah,
Given the Saints' history with kickers of the last decade and a half, because it is about time. So.
Well, yeah, and I have to agree, and let's just pray he continues on the right path, right? All right, let's talk about 2 critical guys for the New Orleans Saints offensive line that looks like these guys are healing a lot faster than anticipated. We got Teron Armstead. Looks like he's a little bit ahead of his